India's market news headquarters. Cutting-edge analysis. Influential insights. Market-moving intelligence. Broadcasting live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios in Mumbai.
Good morning. You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Bazaar Morning Call. Last day of the week, and I dare say, thank God it's a Friday. Markets have been sort of doing well, and I think they did very well yesterday with that sharp bounce off the day's lows. We ended about 100 points higher on the Nifty, even as the Nifty Bank continues to struggle. We're coming to you from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Prashant. With me, my colleagues Surabhi and Nigel. Guys, good morning.
Hi, happy Friday, guys. Happy Friday to our viewers as well. We've all made it through another week. So, pat on the back just for that to start off, right?
I'm feeling very, very good this morning. It's a Friday. It's the end of the month, which means salary day. And we're bracing for my favorite month, which is September. So I'm looking forward.
The birthday month is coming up. So, yeah, birthday boy, get ready for those treats. But that's later.
Absolutely. And, there'll be there'll be that and more as we get into September. But, it's been it's been an uneventful kind of a week, as if you look back, because it's basically the market's basically crawled and crept higher without any substantial directional thrust. I mean, is there momentum? Not really. I mean, across the board. But we'll get to that in just a bit. And we'll start with what happened last night, right? Because that's essentially the cue that you're going to pick up and start with. So U.S. markets themselves were trading up for most of the session. Suddenly and puzzlingly, mid-session, actually, in the last few hours, there was a complete about turn. Some are sort of talking about sell orders from like a program trade, which kind of led to pressure across the board. The S&P ended almost unchanged, flat. The Nasdaq was down about 0.2%. There was no headline. There were a couple of geopolitical headlines, and there was something from NVIDIA, OpenAI. I mean, nothing which would cause a turn, but the markets did. NVIDIA itself was down about 6%. The mega cap tech pack, it ended about nearly 1% in the red. By the way, when you talk about mega caps, they are essentially now almost 28% of S&P 500 market capitalization. I mean, that's how important they are. A third of the S&P 500, the largest equity index, is just 5 names. And that's why we kind of focus on some of these bigger companies and what happens with them. Dollar index, it's up again. We highlighted this day before yesterday, and you saw a bit of a lift, and I think that's continued. So about 0.75, 0.8% in 2 days, and we are back above 101.36 on the dollar index. Supports came in at about 100.7 or so, which the market tested, which the index tested 2 days back. In terms of data, you have U.S. jobless claims, which was stable. Second quarter GDP was relatively strong. Pending home sales data came in weaker. Markets did not really react to any of this in any big way. U.S. core PCE will be watched, and that's later tonight for the U.S. But actually, the only big one which will move markets, because the Fed has said, well, it's not inflation, but it's labor data which will move the needle for us. And the labor data is NFP, which is only next Friday. And that's the real big one. The oil prices, I mean, they continue to bounce around, up, down. We're up about 1.5% last night, around $80, near $80 a barrel or so. Now, just coming back to the levels here, there's a big intermarket divergence between the Nifty and the Bank Nifty, which has got to resolve. The Nifty is strong, the Nifty Bank is not. One wonders how long that can continue. Yesterday, of course, you had help from Reliance, which sort of, moved higher and took the Nifty with it. But, you need Bank Nifty is still about 25-28% of the overall sort of market, and you need that index to do well as well. Targets for the Nifty is the daily upper Bollinger Band. We are headed there, 25,300 or so. It's changed about 25,316. And eventually, I mean, we are headed to 25,530, which is the Fibonacci retracement level. That number has not changed. That's a retracement number, so will not. Support for the Nifty comes in at the hourly average, which is 24,981. For the Nifty Bank, it was another day of sideways consolidation. It's still quite a bit away from its all-time highs, unlike the Nifty, which is, of course, making new highs. Supports here come in at the hourly average, which is 50,922, and the 20-day moving average, which is on your screen, at about 5,600 or so. Near-term upside is the 50% retracement of the decline, which is 51,058. and 51,508, beg your pardon. We're at about 51,150 as of yesterday. And supports come in as a swing low, which is 50,856. Actually, we are closer to the support than we are to the resistance or the target on the upside for the Nifty Bank. The GIFT Nifty will come up on your screen and give you an indication of the start. I mean, actually, practically pretty much all days this week, we've had at least the indicative open has been pretty flat. Nothing large at all on the upside or downside. But, you know, inevitably the market's found a bid and it's moved higher through the course of the trading session. Surabhi.
Well, absolutely. Just on the PCE, which is the watch point tonight, for what it's worth, just to put the numbers out there, the expectation is a 0.2% increase if you look at it month on month, and 2.5% annualized number. That's the increase. But like Prashant is saying, maybe that's not the important number to look at. Ultimately, it's going to be the jobs report, which is next Friday. So coming to data, actually, there's a lot of interesting and very mixed data out of Japan. The market right now is not reacting. In fact, Asia is looking very good. There's a sea of green across Asia if you check out any of the major indices. Talking about the, the data points, now for the Bank of Japan, this could be a little confusing because the Fed is on a, cutting slope. But look at the data out of Japan. Inflation has risen more than expected. This is Tokyo inflation, which is seen as a barometer for the rest of the country as well. July inflation in Tokyo is higher than anticipated. But at the same time, retail sales data is weaker than expected. July data, again, 2.6% increase. And the unemployment number is more than expected. So very mixed cues out of Japan. Let's see. But I think, markets have priced in the fact that the BOJ is simply going to stay on hold no matter the data. But for what it's worth, just put it out there. Coming to Brent, the price is now again approaching 80. There's been a lot of volatility in oil markets this week. So why did we suddenly see this move back again? Two reasons. One, well, the market initially thought, okay, Libya's cut. So we had that big spike all to 81. Then the market said, okay, maybe it's not too much. There's some political rhetoric and we'll get back on stream. So there was a fall. Why was a rise again? Because now official data out of Libya is saying that the cut in output is about 1.5 million barrels a day, which is not small. Libya is a major contributor to the oil market output. So the cuts are showing up, and now the market's wondering whether this is going to last. That's number one. And then Reuters put out, a report suggesting that Iraq could be lowering output as well from 4.25 million barrels a day to 3.9 million barrels a day. So these two things coupled, because both are major contributors to the oil market in terms of output, led to that higher bid on oil. So that's something that we'll watch out for. Come back home, the flows picture, again, I mean, because of the humongous blocks that are happening, the numbers are all over the place. But, to put the data on the table, FII's buyers to the extent of almost 3,300 crores, domestic institutions buyers to the extent of almost 2,700 crores. That was the kind of, fund inflow that we got. Now, another interesting shift, Prashant mentioned the divergence between Nifty and Bank Nifty. I was looking at the divergence between the Nifty and the mid-cap index. The shift has been the hallmark of trade this week. The buying has been concentrated in the large cap space, yesterday included. And for the week, the tally is the Nifty is up about 1.3%, while the mid-cap index has underperformed. It's down 0.5%. Now, you could argue whether, this is, of course, a sign of impending weakness or perhaps just a shifting of positions. Quickly moving on, Reliance will stay in focus. Let's see, because there's no announcement in terms of a listing immediately. Whether the bonus issue can keep the stock excited, that's something that we watch out for. And last but not the least, watch out for the sugar space. You'll hear a lot more commentary on it as well as we go forward, because in terms of policy, major relief coming in. Now, sugarcane juice as well as B molasses, C molasses, all of it can be used to manufacture ethanol, which is good news for the distillery players. So sugar is going to be in focus, and we'll get you more on it in a bit. Nigel.
Well, before I slept last night, I looked at the Nvidia stock and it was down only around 3%. I was going to get up this morning and said, I told you so, because it had recovered from the day's low. But unfortunately, it got sold into, and it ended with a cut around 6.5%, but better than the negative 7.5% that it started off with. So that's about Nvidia. But the markets, well, the Nifty has been on an 11-session winning streak. And that's the first time we have seen that in the last 17 years, because the last time we saw this was in 2007. I'm not going to get into what happened in 2008, but for the time being, we'll take this data point positively. Good run is what we have had. We start a new series, which is the September series, and the FI long positioning, well, it's at a bit of an elevated level. So 210,000 contracts is what we have on the long side, while the clients, they are net short. And this combination, actually, of the FIs being aggressively net long and the clients being net short, it's not given blockbuster gains, actually. it's given gains. If you look at the past few series, well, when the long positioning is not so aggressive, actually you get better returns. Like we saw in August, the long positioning was more or less stepped at around 60,000 contracts or thereabouts. So let's see what September holds for us. In percentage terms, the FI long positioning is at around 70%, short positioning at around 30%. Now, moving to the stock futures positioning, though, they continue to remain net long at the start of this series as well, both the clients as well as the FIs. So it could continue to be a stock-specific market. Now, the last few days, the good point is that the Nifty is making higher highs. On a day-to-day basis, we have been seeing this. So today, it's got its work cut out. We'll have to go past 25,200 if, in fact, we have to continue this trend. But that's something that I view positively. The levels that I'm looking at on the Nifty, going by the options data, since the 25,000 put has a fair bit of open interest. Support comes in at around 24,850. The 20 DMA is as well lower. These are the support levels that I'm looking at. Till these levels hold out, you'll have to say the uptrend and the bias will continue to remain on the upside. But the Nifty Bank, well, it's not able to hold on to these higher levels. This 51,300, 51,400 mark, that's been a bit of a resistance zone. And on a day-to-day basis, we have seen that it's been coming off the top. And the chart as well will tell you the picture. We're not able to conquer the 50 DMA on the Nifty Bank. So that's going to be the important trigger. Almost all the week, we have been going on talking about this mark. So let's see whether it can fill the gap. And today, it's got a trigger, because you have the MSCI passive flow rejig that will take place. The total estimated inflow can be between $4.5 to $5 billion approximately. IFL, Alternative Research, they are talking about $5.5 billion. And out of that, HDFC Bank will get the bulk of it. So in case the Nifty Bank needs to move up, it's got its work cut out. HDFC Bank could be the trigger for today's trading session. Yesterday as well, it ended higher. We'll keep an eye out on this. Last hour of trade, a lot of stocks could move around.
Right, Nigel, thank you very much for that. So lots of stuff to talk about and lots to discuss.